Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into a fascinating, slightly spooky topic: why some people believe you shouldn't whistle at home. It's all about old wives' tales and superstitions, and we'll be exploring the different meanings behind this omen, from bad luck to financial woes. We'll look at the history of this belief and some interesting variations across different cultures. So, if you're curious about this age-old mystery, stick around. Hey everyone, so today we are diving into a really interesting superstition: why some people believe you shouldn't whistle in the house. It's a belief that's popped up in various cultures across the globe, and it's fascinating to explore where it all comes from. Now, the origins of this belief are a bit murky, lost in the mists of time, really. Some trace it back to ancient seafaring traditions. Sailors, you see, were incredibly superstitious, and the whistling sound was often associated with summoning storms or bad luck at sea. The idea was that whistling indoors, even in a seemingly safe environment, somehow replicated that dangerous call, bringing misfortune into the home. Think about it: the wind, the howl of the storm, or whistling, in its high-pitched intensity, might have seemed to mimic those ominous sounds. This association with danger, with the unpredictable power of nature, likely contributed to the negative connotation. It's a connection to a time when people were far more reliant on the whims of nature, and the power of superstition was a much more significant part of daily life. Let's talk about the sound itself. Think about the shrillness of a whistle, the way it cuts through the air. It's a piercing, almost aggressive sound, unlike the softer, more ambient noises of a typical home. In some cultures, this sharp, insistent sound was believed to be disruptive to the natural harmony of the home, potentially attracting unwanted attention, or even worse, driving away good fortune. The idea is that the forceful nature of the whistle could upset the delicate balance, making the home vulnerable to negative energies. It's a subtle point, but the very nature of the sound itself is a key element in this superstition. Then there's the belief that whistling indoors might attract unclean forces or spirits. Many cultures have a rich history of folklore surrounding spirits and unseen entities. The idea is that the high-pitched sound of a whistle could act as a sort of beacon, drawing these entities into the home. This is particularly prevalent in cultures with strong beliefs in the supernatural, where the unseen world is considered a very real and present force. The whistling sound, in this context, isn't just a sound, it's a potential invitation, a disturbance of the spiritual equilibrium. It's a fascinating link between the mundane act of whistling and the deeply held beliefs about the spiritual world. Finally, we have the element of wind. Whistling is, of course, closely associated with the wind. The very act of whistling mimics the sound of wind passing through a narrow space. In many cultures, the wind is seen as a powerful, often unpredictable force, capable of both creation and destruction. Whistling indoors, therefore, could be interpreted as an attempt to control or manipulate this powerful force within the confines of the home, a potentially dangerous act that could invite the unpredictable and potentially harmful aspects of the wind into one's living space. It's a powerful image, isn't it? The untamed power of nature, brought indoors by a seemingly innocent act. Hey everyone, so we are diving into a super interesting topic today: why some people believe you shouldn't whistle in the house. It's all about omens, and the basic interpretation is pretty straightforward. Many cultures believe that whistling indoors chases away good luck and invites financial hardship. The idea is that the sound of whistling mimics the sound of wind, and wind is often associated with things being blown away, like your money or opportunities. It's thought to disrupt the positive energy flow within your home, leaving it vulnerable to misfortune. Some even say it can attract negative spirits or entities. It's a superstition, of course, but it's one that's been passed down through generations, and it's fascinating to explore the reasons behind it. Now, let's talk about other omens associated with whistling indoors. Beyond financial difficulties, some believe it can also lead to arguments and disagreements within the family. The disruption of the peaceful home environment, symbolized by the sharp sound of whistling, is seen as a catalyst for conflict. Another belief is that whistling can attract illness or misfortune to the household. This ties into the idea of disrupting the positive energy flow, leaving the home more susceptible to negative influences. It's a bit like a domino effect, one negative omen potentially leading to others. It's important to remember that these are all interpretations, and the impact is entirely dependent on your belief system. So, how can you avoid this potential negativity? Well, the simplest solution is just to avoid whistling indoors. It's a small change that could potentially bring peace of mind. If you find yourself needing to make a sound to attract attention, try humming or tapping instead. These gentler sounds are less likely to be associated with the negative connotations of whistling. You could also try focusing on creating a positive atmosphere in your home through other means, perhaps lighting candles, playing calming music, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. These actions can help to counteract any perceived negative energy. Finally, let's talk about situations where whistling might actually be useful. Think about whistling to call your dog, or whistling a tune to yourself while you're doing chores. These are instances where the act of whistling isn't intended to disrupt the energy of your home, but rather to serve a practical purpose. The key difference lies in the intention behind the whistling. If you're whistling with a positive and helpful intention, the negative omen is less likely to apply. It really comes down to context and personal belief. So, while some might avoid whistling indoors entirely, others might make exceptions for practical reasons.